Ollanta Humala on the day he became Peru's new president. Clearly a big media moment. But in this story, much of the media would have preferred another result, and almost succeeded.
The
most powerful media supported Keiko Fujimori, and they didn't even hide it. It was a very public discussion among the mainstream press.
Even during his inauguration, when he promised to protect the freedom of the press,
y de la libertad de prensa y de expresión.
One TV channel, part of Peru's biggest media group, dropped live coverage of the speech. For Peruvians, it was another example of the antagonistic relationship their new leftist leader has with the country's mostly right-wing media.
The general opinion of the consumer, of the citizen, is that the campaign wasn't an attractive campaign. Issues weren't debated, and basically all you had was one side attacking the other. That led to a very ugly campaign.
And Fritz Dubois should know. He's part of the media group accused of the most skewed coverage, El Comercio.
The coverage was excessively biased, not just El Comercio, but there's no doubt that El Comercio was more so, giving its importance because of its national audience.
At the end, everybody complains about El Comercio because basically we are the largest group in the country. But all newspapers took sides. There are some other newspapers who never ever reported anything in favor of the country they were actually opposing. At least we were trying to be kind of objective. So we weren't the main culprits.
El Comercio owns 4 newspapers, El Comercio, Peru 21, Tromé and La Gestión, and 2 TV channels, Canal N and América Televisión.
El Comercio is a powerful, almost monopolistic media group in Peru that has always and consistently placed itself on the right of Peruvian politics. In this sense, the 2011 election was no exception.
El Comercio coverage of the campaign was so partisan, it caused internal divisions at the company. One longtime editor, who helped launch El Comercio's Canal N 12 years ago, was fired mid-campaign for what she called political reasons.
What happened with me was the best example of what everyone already knew, that there was a media attempt on the part of El Comercio for Keiko to win the elections. They started asking us to cover Humala less than Keiko, and basically to scaremonger. They said they had the right to support a candidate. They're right, but that's what editorials are for, not news.
Patricia fue llamada hoy por el jefe personal y despedida sin causa alguna. 12 años de abnegados servicios no van a terminar así.
Rosa María Palacios is one of Peru's most respected investigative journalists. She lost her job at another El Comercio channel in the aftermath of the election. Her contract was not renewed.
When they fired Rosa María Palacios from America Television after the elections, the criticism was all played out on the social media. Everyone criticized America Television directly and demanded explanations from the directors.
I think El Comercio will not replace Rosa María Palacios in the sense that I don't think they will repeat the experience of a truly independent, an outspoken journalist. I think they will prefer much tamer journalists like the ones they have in El Comercio, for instance.
El Comercio may well have dropped several journalists. But then one journalist dropped El Comercio. And he was a little hard to ignore. Mario Vargas Llosa, one of Latin America's most renowned intellectuals, had been writing for El Comercio for years.
The editorial line at El Comercio was tilted towards preventing Humala's victory, to the point that the Nobel laureate Mario Vargas Llosa decided he did not want to be associated with El Comercio, and so he withdrew.
Vargas Llosa put it this way: "I cannot permit my column Touchstone to continue to be published in a caricature of what should be a genuinely free, plural and democratic organ." Peru's media story is not unique. Across Latin America, in country after country, there's a pattern in which privately owned right-wing media groups are waging wars against new left-wing governments. It's happened in Venezuela with President Hugo Chavez.
Y los medios de comunicación en primera línea, llamando al golpe. Algunos siguen haciéndolo.
In Bolivia with Evo Morales.
No me va a callar. Tengo derecho a defenderme frente a las humillaciones, a las ofensas de algunos medios de comunicación.
In Ecuador with Rafael Correa.
Para que venga un descalificado a decir que yo ordené asesinar y disparar a discreción y sin previo aviso contra un hospital lleno de civiles. Es su opinión. Tengan algo de sentido de autocrítica, por Dios.
In Argentina with the Kirchners.
La desmonopolización va a convertir en negocio a muchas pymes y pequeñas empresas que no pueden hacerlo porque muchas veces no pueden competir con el monopolio.
And in Brazil with recently elected President Dilma Rousseff.
É candidato a presidente da República, não é candidata a aeromoça.
Ollanta Humala was up against those same kinds of media forces in Peru. It took him 2 elections to overcome that and gain power. The standoff between these leaders and big media groups in Peru and around Latin America continues.
A country with very weak institutions like Peru or Ecuador or Venezuela or Argentina, you go to any Latin American country, if the press doesn't actually can freely work in those societies, then you have all the ingredients for a dictatorship.
The question is, will Humala be able to survive on this hostile media terrain?
Es decir, nosotros así como
We've criticized El Comercio, but we will also defend it if there is any type of authoritarian attitude from the government. It's going to be a very tense relationship between the government and the media.
Este gobierno y los medios.
One of the things media owners and journalists like the most is to cry wolf all the time.
Que no soportan la diferencia de opinión, la crítica, no soportan las posiciones distintas.
The media don't know very well how to handle the government yet, and this also goes for the government vis-à-vis the media, yes. It's definitely not a marriage made in heaven.